Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul Mackay from Analogue Wonderland, and today we're going to be talking about one of the T-MAX films from Kodak, specifically T-MAX P3200. Now, what does the P stand for? We'll get into all of that and more in this video. Whether you are new to film photography or a long-time analog enthusiast, our channel covers all things film, from tips and tricks, film reviews to how-to videos. Subscribe now and keep those notifications turned on so that you never miss a beat. Happy shooting! T-MAX P3200 is the fastest speed film in Kodak's entire range. It is black and white. It's part of the T-MAX family along with 100 and 400, which tells you it has their patented T-grain chemistry to enable you to see the black and white images. Gives it a very distinctive grain, obviously, in the final images across that range. But this is the highest speed. Now, I said at the very start, it's P3200, and the P is very interesting. 100 T-MAX and 400 T-MAX don't have any letters. P3200 might make you think it's a 3200 ISO film, and that's sort of true. Sort of, meaning that it can be shot at up to 3200, and if you're brave, 6400, or 128,000 if you really want to go for it. But it isn't a natural film at that speed, so P stands for pushed to 3200. We've had many conversations with Kodak about this over the years, particularly last year when we featured it in the Low Light Magic competition. Some amazing images. If you want to see those, then have a look at that video. But it means that it is a 1600 box speed film that can be pushed to 3200, presumably to compete with Ilford's Delta 3200 that has no P. But either way, you will see when you open it up, there are instructions for processing it at 3200, at 1600, at 800. So really this is a case of shoot it at those high speeds. Don't overthink that push point too much. Just let your lab know, or when you home develop it, look up the right speed in order to match it. What that immediately tells you is it has some flexibility, which is fantastic. So if you have a camera with a 1600 setting, brilliant. If you have a camera with a 3200 setting, rare, but fantastic. And if not, you can drop down to 800, like a lot of the old cameras. I think Olympus Trip, the original LCA, I think, was limited at 800. And you'll still be able to get really, really good results on this because it will deliver brilliant results at 800 as well. Kodak say that it has exceptional grain for its speed, which I think is very, very fair. And as we've talked a lot, you will know that generally speaking, high speeds, much more sensitive to light. The offset that you have, the compromise is that grain tends to be more prominent. Because this is premium T-grain emulsion, it's not too overwhelming. You will see in the reviews, you will see in the sample photos that there is definitely much more grain than you'd see in a 100 T-MAX or an HP5 or a Pan F or any of the other lower speed black and white films in the range. But it isn't crazy. And that's how it can be called a 3200 film, quite rightly. You can take this into nightclubs, to gigs, to dark pub nights on long evening walks where the light is really low and get really, really good photos with a fantastic amount of detail. This is also actually one of Kodak's more recent films. Again, with a small caveat, it existed beforehand, it was discontinued in the great purges of the 2000s, and it was reintroduced in 2018 to give lovers of the Kodak brand a 3200 film. I remember actually it was one of the first times that I really appreciated Ilford's social media, because everyone was banging on about, oh my gosh, this is amazing, P3200, it's life-changing, it's game-changing. And they'd sort of put just a screenshot of Delta 3200 with a, what about me? Which had been in their range forever and wasn't discontinued. By the way, it gives you a wonderful chance to compare and contrast the two brands' chemistries, the two brands' emulsions, the quality of the technology. And P3200 definitely stands its ground here. It's a really fantastic high-speed black and white film. If you're a Kodak fanatic, you may also have tried the other film that is generally shot at high speeds, which is TriX. So there's a huge community of people who will swear by shoot TriX, push quite strongly. I suspect that's a similar tribe to the HP5 push strongly. Regardless, you can shoot TriX at 1600 as well. The main difference will be the level of grain. TriX is a characterful film, even at box speed of 400. At 1600 or 3200, the grain will be very overpowering, which could be an aesthetic that you're really into. P3200 versus that will look very clean, very detailed, very refined, nowhere near as much grain, nowhere near as much artifact on your images, which again could be the look you're going for. If you're wanting to print or scan or display on a very high resolution, Clearly, P3200 is going to give you better detail and better resolution at those high speeds. But again, it's up to you and what you want your photography to look like. We've put it in the box in winter, in the darkest times of the year, to help you shoot some film without much light. Now, of course, useful outdoors, useful indoors if you don't have a flash, or if you do have a flash, you can have some really lovely play where it'll still show a lot more of the background detail than if you use a lower ISO film. The basic theory there is a flash will obviously light up a short period. If you're shooting flash with an ISO 100 or 400, it won't capture much background. But P3200 will be able to see a little bit, so you get a bit more depth to your flash photography. Or you go no flash, take it outside, shoot it with indoor artificial lights, and you'll still get great images. And that's it really. It's a relatively simple, maybe relatively straightforward film in terms of high speed, black and white, panchromatic, really, really lovely for this time of year. So please do shoot it, enjoy it. Let us know what you think. As I said, we featured it last year, this time of year in the Kodak competition, so there's tons of example images, sample images to inspire you. Let me know how you get on with it. Let me know any thoughts below, and we'll see you again soon.